Hello, YouTube. I can't believe I'm finally doing this. I am going to grab my tea and sit down and film this first video. Woo! All right, I grabbed my tea and I'm ready to get started. So, as I said, this is my very first upload to YouTube. My name is Elsie. Nice to meet you. Today it is February 26th, 2024. Okay, I'm obviously still getting used to saying that, which is a very special and meaningful day for me personally. So I'll tell you a bit of a story. Today would have been my childhood dog Pansy's 15th birthday. And this is the first birthday that I am not spending with her in the physical form in 15 years. We said our final goodbyes to Pansy almost 5 months ago, about 5 months ago now. I just wanted to make this video. It felt like a really good day to rip off the band-aid and get going with this dream of mine. I've been thinking about starting my own channel for a couple of months and I don't know where I want to go with it yet, but I figured today would be a beautiful way to start because I'm someone who takes a lot of meaning out of the special days in the calendar, birthdays, anniversaries, moments when I have even more intention behind thinking about those that I love, especially my animals. I'm a huge animal lover. So yeah, this video will be in dedication to my girl Pansy. I'm gonna put a photo up, hopefully. Yeah, I'm just really excited to be taking this creative leap. My intention with this channel is to be as real as I possibly can and use it as a sort of journal and meeting point for my thoughts, questions, and stories that feel pertinent to my life. And I have my ideas written down in my little notebook here, so I'm just referring to those as I go along here. Yeah, so I thought that I would stay on this topic for today's video of celebrating my dog's birthday because that feels really important and as well as happy for me, and tell you guys some stories about her. So we'll see where we go, but I figure you can learn a lot about someone by getting to know what's important to them and by listening to the moments that stand out in their lives. So you can often come to know someone much more intimately through their narratives and anecdotes than you can if you were to just ask them 20 facts about themselves. And I really believe it's all about paying attention. So with that being said, I am certainly going to introduce myself more in videos to come. But for now, if you care to join me as I reminisce on my sweet, sweet dog, that would be really special for me. I guess to get started, I decided I would go on a walk this morning to, get out of the house, explore a new trail. I love the outdoors, and there's a beautiful estuary near here. So I went there, and as I was driving along, I realized I had to stop for gas. So I pulled up at the gas station, and I guess we'll get into this more another day, but I really love paying attention to numbers. I saw that pump number 11 was open, so I drove up to it and I filled up my car. And as I was finishing pumping the gas, I saw that the pump right in front of my car had this big bucket of milk bones. Like I took one. This is a treat that Pansy, she ate milk bones all the time. That was like the only treat brand we really bought for her. And normally she would have the little miniature ones because we fed the dogs so many treats on their walks and stuff that we didn't, want them to be eating huge treats all the time. So they got the mini ones. But here was this just random bucket of dog treats waiting right there. So as I pulled out of the gas station, I took note, and that was the only pump with a dog treat station. So that was really cool. I took that as a little sign, and I grabbed a treat for my girl, and I kept going. And yeah, as I got out of the car, I kind of set the intention to bring Pansy along for my walk. And one of my gifts and abilities, although I do firmly believe that we all have this, so it's not that I'm special, it's just that I've practiced, but I do have the ability to connect intuitively with my animals, doing a form of animal communication. And anyways, I invited Pansy along for my walk, and last night when I was thinking about this video and sort of writing out my intro notes, I had been reflecting on what stories would be good to tell and fun to tell, and I had a few come up, but as I walked along with Pansy today on the trail, I invited her to share with me some stories, and it was really beautiful how many little moments just came flooding in of just, yeah, happy, silly, stressful moments. So that's what I'm going to share with you today in honor of her. And another thing that really just, again, very simply came through of like just a sense of all of these ordinary moments. There's nothing that stands out of like her being some extraordinary dog. Like, she didn't rescue anybody. She didn't have any moments of like, wow, this one story stands out as a Pansy story that everyone should know. And it just really brought home this sense of like all of these moments were relatively ordinary, but she was an extraordinary dog and meant so much to me and to my family. Yeah, it was really beautiful, and it was just this message of like, you have no idea how much you mean to the people who love you, and even if you don't perceive yourself as doing extraordinary or, you know, amazing things with your life, that by being in the lives of the people who love you, that's pretty extraordinary. So yeah, I guess that's a nice theme that came through. And very Pansy, like she is so happy-go-lucky, chill girl. It was funny because the walk ended up being way longer than I anticipated it to be. I thought it was a loop, and then I got to like the almost end and it was crossed off, so I had to turn back and go all the way back to the parking lot. And Pansy, she didn't love to go on walks. Like, she liked to patrol and go on little jaunts here and there, but she wasn't like this big active dog who was like jonesing to go outside and do a bunch of activities all the time. She really enjoyed her time lying down and hanging out and watching the world go by and meeting people. So it was funny to me that we sort of went on this longer walk because I had this feeling of like, I'm going to be like mentally calling her to keep up with me. So that was really funny. Also, I just want to highlight that I'm wearing this really pretty pansy shaped necklace that my sister got me that I love so much. Anyways, so a couple fun Pansy stories. One is, like I said, she was such a chill dog. However, the one area that she became unhinged, we had this 4x4 Kubota, and it ran on diesel, so when you turn it on, it was super loud and very, I don't know, it had like a growling type sound. It was just loud. And Pansy would get so revved up and she would bark and she would try to bite the tires. So it was dangerous to drive it because she was constantly like barking and charging at the tires. And so the only solution we had, because we were using the vehicle to go and do some type of chore on the farm, was to put her into the Kubota, and depending on how many people were in it, she would either be like at our feet and standing right there on the floor of the machine, or she would be riding shotgun with us. And yeah, it was pretty funny. She reminded me of that. I had totally forgotten about that, but I was like, oh yeah, that was kind of a funny and random thing that you used to do. And we had 2 other dogs that are Pansy's daughters, and they in general are more reactive and have a different temperament than Pansy, but they would not do this barking at the tire behavior. But nonetheless, sometimes we would still put them in the machine with us, and so then all 3 dogs would be crammed in there with however many humans bumping along on the rocky terrain around the farm. So that was really cute. And then she also reminded me of, I can't remember now, I think it must have been my dad's birthday, but there was a big chocolate cake because my mom would always make a Martha Stewart chocolate cake, 2 tiers with buttercream frosting for our birthdays. And for whatever reason, this one time, I think it must have been a couple days after the birthday, and we still had some cake left, and it was just sitting on the kitchen table. And I think we were in the living room, and we came in to the kitchen, and Pansy had eaten a significant amount of the chocolate cake, and my mom wasn't home, and she was sort of the one who would be in charge, like, during emergencies for animals. It was really stressful, but she was fine. And that was the thing about Pansy. She kind of had a stomach of steel. Like, she ate lots of crazy stuff out on the farm, as well as treats and things she wasn't supposed to eat. And she lived to a right 14 and a half. Her life did not end due to food-related incidents. In fact, that was how we knew it was time for her to go, because she did not want to eat anymore. You really know. You get to know your pet, and as hard as it is, they tell you. If you're willing to listen, they definitely tell you when it's their time. So yeah, she reminded me of that chocolate cake story, and then I was thinking about how much she loved birthdays, because she was a dog who loved to howl, and my dad, it used to drive me crazy, but he would get her going, and so we would all sing happy birthday to whoever was having their birthday, and then he would, like, rev her up by encouraging her and mock howling and stuff, and she would just and that was one of the stories I was thinking of last night, was just how much she loved to howl, and we would call it singing. And for the last couple years of her life, every morning she would howl to wake up, to let her out of the house. And she would also do it at quote unquote random times during the day. However, when we reached out to an animal communicator about it, she's like, well, have you noticed when she starts to howl? And I was like, well, I feel like she always starts howling when I pull out my yoga mat and start doing an activity that is supposed to be calming and quiet, whether that's doing yoga or meditating. I feel like she will just spontaneously start howling at that point, even though there's nothing going on. And so that was really funny, because it was almost like she was so tuned in to the changing energies, and that she used her howling as a bit of a marker of the passage of time, sort of like a rooster. I think she would fall into the archetype of, like, the crazy old lady. Yeah, just this, like, wise grandmother who had sort of lost her marbles, but was so endearing at the same time, and just sort of tottered around doing her thing. Definitely in her older life. But I also have a story of her from a puppy, and she was my second puppy. I really tragically lost my first dog. She got hit by a car, and she was less than 2 years old. And we got Pansy shortly thereafter. And yeah, also side note, part of this channel is just going to be straight up telling you like it is, and I am not someone who's shy about talking about hard things or loss, and I always strive to do that in a really kind way. But especially growing up on a farm, those cycles of life and transitions have been something that I've been very intimately aware of for most of my life. Yeah, just know that I'll talk candidly about that if needed in my stories, if it pertains to what I'm talking about. So that may be something to get used to, or you might already be super comfortable with that. And it just feels like a part of my life to share those kind of things. I think it's really important to talk openly about those subjects. Anyways, so as you can imagine, I was stressed to have this new puppy in my care, and at this point I was only 10 years old, and I think I was 10. I was 10. And anyways, shortly after getting Pansy, she was still definitely a baby. We took her on a walk all the way down to the bottom of the property, and at the bottom of our property there's a fence line that goes into an old dump. And so it's a chain link fence. And we were playing around there for some reason. I can't remember why. And my mom was with me. And Pansy got under the fence and she was sort of meandering around on the other side of this fence. And I was sort of starting to have an anxiety attack about like losing my dog. And this part of the property was quite close to a road as well. And so I could see my little puppy on the other side of this fence, and obviously she wasn't trained yet, so starting to freak out. And just then a cyclist drove by on his bike and was super kind and got off his bike and was able to rescue her somehow. I don't even remember what the details were, but he got her back to us, and it was a happy ending. And so, all was the explorer. Funnily enough, Pansy was the only dog that I've had in my life so far that you could trust to be outside with no supervision. She was really trustworthy in that way. A couple more cute things is she was so friendly. She would literally jump into other people's cars when they come over to greet them. When she was more able-bodied, she would scramble up and like literally get into your car if you open the door as you're arriving on the property. And yeah, I'm just really grateful that in the last week of her life in September, we had the most beautiful weather, and I got to spend a lot of time outside with her, just hanging out and enjoying ourselves. And today is another absolutely gorgeous blue sky and sunny day. And yeah, I can't help but feel like she's here with me, and I know she's cheering me on to make these videos, so I'm really excited to see where this channel goes. Oh, and I just thought too, so as I said, I'm drinking tea. This is chai tea, and I didn't have any at home. And I stopped at the grocery store. I was going to go to a bakery, and I had this whole idea of getting like a chocolate sin and a chai tea, and then coming home to film this video. And it's Monday today, so the bakery and the cafe were both closed. And I was like, oh shoot, well maybe I'll just go to the store and get some chai tea because I didn't have any. And sure enough, the store had a beautiful like rack of pansies, a beautiful garden display of little pansies, all different colors, yellow, purple, white, that they had for sale. And I haven't noticed them selling pansies before. But I think that's the really cool thing of being present on these days, such as birthdays and yeah, any day that's meaningful or significant to you, or even just deciding to pay attention. Coming back to that theme of paying attention. And, you know, had it been another day, I might not have noticed the milk bones or the pansies, you know, who's to say those would not have been there on another day. But because I was in that space of paying attention and just being open to feeling my girl close to me, I was, gifted with these little symbols and signs that she's definitely here with me. And so it is my absolute pleasure to be starting off my YouTube journey with this video, and I will see you guys next week. Take good care of yourselves, and let's see where this adventure goes. Bye for now.